Good afternoon. Michael Masserang here again, and today we're in Charlotte with one of our existing customers in the 28270 zip code. We come into this zip code very often. A lot of these old developments in here with a lot of trees. It's a real pretty area and kind of rocky in this neighborhood, rocky and hilly. And we originally got a call from this customer last year when they had some structural damage. You can see I'm facing the house from the front, basically behind the garage here, behind that garage wall. It's very tight in the crawl space, which caused very little air movement to occur over there. And over the years, this house is like 25 years old, we had significant structural rot and some termite damage that drove our first deployment. So during that visit, we went into the crawl space and we cleaned about 25 years of mold off the floor system, removed the insulation to expose the full work area, and we did about I would say 15-20 feet of flush girder repair, which is right here behind this wall, and all the adjacent floor joists had to be sistered from bearing to bearing. So here, you know, at this corner of the garage is where it started and kind of moved along this wall. The homeowner has removed some of the trees, but you can see here some of these trees, especially this one here, you can see is too close to the foundation. It's causing some problems. So if you have a house that's got a lot of trees, make sure if you have an old tree that's within 10 feet of the foundation that you have it removed and the stump ground out. This is a location of one of the old trees here. Certainly way too close to the house. Certainly you can see here that there are drainage challenges up on the high side. Adding some rocks and some drainage swales through here would help to control this above grade drainage issue. Believe it or not, one of the problems that we discovered was not water intrusion, which I had suspected, but certainly some improvements could be made here on a future deployment to make this move water more efficiently. But as you can see on this high side, there are no foundation vents. So over 25 years, we had problems with air exchange. And you can see this hardscape here. I'm going to climb up over here. And there are some below grade vent locations you can see here along the back side. But you're not going to get hardly any air movement out of a below grade vent well. And so we have several of these here on the back patio that you're getting little to no air movement. And so that's what drove all this damage to occur over time. If you're walking across here to the right side as facing the structure from the front, we start to get some pretty good vent locations. We have decided to do controlled ventilation on this home, and you can see here we have several above grade vent locations that are high off the ground, perfect for bringing in air. And so we're going to bring in the good air on a good day with an ATMOX system. And also the guys today are putting in some weep holes on this old retaining wall, and this is helping to relieve the hydrostatic pressure that's on the wall, kind of a side item that we're here doing today. But as I complete my walk around the front, you can see here more vent locations. And as we're moving to the left, we have a couple more below grade vent locations. And so if you have a house with below grade vents, it's very important to keep these vents clean, dug out, and add some rocks on the base of the vent wells, which guys are going to do later today. But it's important to keep those clean, important to keep downspouts clear and free flowing. Underground piping systems tested, make sure that they're free flowing to keep as much water from the foundation as you possibly can. But back to the ventilation side. What we really wanted to talk about today is what options do you have for a crawl space like this that doesn't have enough vents? The industry is rather predatory, and pretty much any company in the phone book that does encapsulations would want to encap this crawl space. And certainly that is an option, but as you'll see as I come in here for a visit, I'm going to go inside the crawl space and hang out with the guys for a minute. But as we saw on the walk around, we have a roomy crawl space here on the right side, but as we start moving to the left up to the high side where our former work area is, you can see it gets tighter and tighter. We've got, you know, the HVAC equipment is all here obviously because it was roomy on this side. You can see here where, you know, we cleaned the mold, re-insulated, and fixed the structural damage, which is about another 30 feet in front of me. But if you decided to do an encapsulation here, how are you going to move the air to this tight spot? So whether we did a closed system or an encapsulated crawl space or stayed ventilated, which we're going to do with this protocol, we're going to place 4 to 5 dead corner fans up this way to move the good air across the crawl space towards our work area that's in front of me, and to get there's an exhaust. You can see there we are going to exhaust air out of a below grade vent, which that's okay, but our intake air is going to be coming from one of those happy vents that's 5 feet off the ground. So this kind of shows you the mechanics of whether you decide you want to encapsulate or you want to do a hybrid system that does incorporate ventilation into your solution. You got to have multiple fans deployed inside these crawl spaces to move the air to the dead pockets. And you can see here, this is full of dead pockets. And that's what drove the damage in the first place. So, when you're dealing with contractors, make sure you ask these questions. You know, if you're going to encapsulate, how am I going to get the air around the dead pockets? Well, a dehumidifier can't do that by itself. They move air pretty poorly, and even if you deploy a dehumidifier with a duct kit, all a duct kit does is transfer the exhaust air maybe 15-20 feet away from the dehumidifier. It hampers the efficiency of the dehumidifier, and it certainly isn't going to resolve dead pocket issues that could be 30-40 feet away from the unit. This customer has chosen not to do a dehumidifier, just the fans only. I would give it probably a 60 to 75% chance that will be sufficient. We're not sure exactly. I did recommend a dehumidifier on this account because it's such a large crawl space. When you're dealing with square footages of 2,500, 3,000, 4,000 square feet, it is helpful to have an extra drying power of a dehumidifier mixed in with a controlled ventilation system. But even if you did an encapsulation, some companies would want to put 2, maybe 3 dehumidifiers down here. Why would you want to do that? Dehumidifiers use a lot of energy, and having 2 or 3 dehumidifiers in this crawl space would be not only a waste of equipment, it would be a power bleeder, and it would just cost this customer lots of money each summer to run those dehumidifiers. When by the calculation of dew point and an advanced sensor system, we can bring in the outside air selectively from the outside, bring it in across the crawl space by a factor of dew point. And most of these encapsulation companies don't want you to know about this option. And a lot of the videos on the web today will be negative on certain fan programs. Some of that I agree with. Not all fan programs are good programs. The old flip events and humidistat type programs do not work and are not appropriate. The only program that I know and trust is the ATMOX system, which we deploy many of those as a hybrid program combined with a dehumidifier. You're able to take the pressure off that dehumidifier, run the outside air most of the year, and then when you need a little extra help from the dehumidifier, you're welcome to have that option. It does make the cost of the protocol more. A commercial dehumidifier is pretty expensive, but you know, this is certainly going to be better than what he had, and you're going to have great air movement coming across from this high side of the crawl space over to where our old work area was. And the ATMOX system is pretty cool because you can set the dead corner fans to run in a completely different setting. We're going to run the dead corner fans at a really dry setting to constantly run most of the year to stir the air up there where we've got those dead pockets. And so that is going, just stirring the air can be beneficial for preventing mold growth or structural rot. So if you have any questions about industrial cleaning services, you can see here the quality of, you know, this is a year and a half later. There's no regrowth here, even without the dehumidifier, or all we had was open vents for the last year and a half, and that was good enough to keep it clean. There's no mold down here. So, you know, this is just hedging our bet as far as keeping this customer free of microbial development, keep the wood moisture levels under 18%, and I'm pretty certain we should be able to do that. If we have to come back, if the data, the controller, the ATMOX controller, actually, you can track the data, and if the wood moisture level goes up, it's going to go into alarm because we have a wood moisture sensor with this program. Your average encapsulation company, all they've got is the relative humidity reader inside the dehumidifier, or a portable relative humidity reader. Relative humidity doesn't tell you all the information that you need to see in order to determine if you have good air or bad air in the crawl space. The wood moisture sensor is so important. Without a wood moisture sensor, you have no way of calibrating your crawl space. And the controller is upstairs inside the house for the customer to conveniently see. They can walk up to the controller, they can see what the wood moisture level is, temperature, relative humidity, and so forth. And you get to see the outside conditions as well as the under the house conditions. The thing's a weather station. So, you know, I know there's a lot of negativity on the web, in particular, about fan systems, and you might even see some negativity about the one that we're installing. But keep in mind, only a system is only as good as its installer. So if you have a system that was installed by somebody that was unqualified, or they didn't do it correctly, all it could mean is that your system just needs to be adjusted. The settings may need to be adjusted. Maybe you're buying a house that has an ATMOX system, and you're wanting to see if it's still good. Most likely, it's fine. You know, there are systems out there that are 15 and 20 years old that the fans are still running. They just need to be calibrated and tweaked a little bit. If it does need to be replaced, certainly, you know, a new system takes advantage of the modern controller software that runs it. And of course, the fans are quieter and so forth in the newer models, just like everything else. The newer stuff's always going to be more advanced. But so, you know, try to take it with a grain of salt. If you see negative things on the web, this is the truth about the matter. If you're wanting to actually deal with someone that's actually an expert in crawl space science, not a commission-based sales rep. I'm not Skippy with the glossy brochure from your local franchisee box area. So, you know, this is the real deal. And be cautious of people that are talking negatively about ventilation because they just haven't been educated properly. So if you have any questions on that, mold remediations, we're Normie certified. We use nothing but the best products. We use Owens Corning R19, the formaldehyde-free stuff, you know, the top-of-the-line stuff. You know, we don't kid around with our clients. We want them to have the best possible products that are available. Ductwork repair, you know, we have no problems. If you have, you know, need your ductwork taped up or it needs to be hung up, we can certainly do that while we're here. And just clean up the crawl space, make it look nice and pretty. Deploy, if you have questions about vapor barriers, the differences between vented and encapsulated code. It's important that you know the difference. You have a lot more options if you stay under the auspices of vented code. You can do a lot more solutions, and we can do these hybrid systems that we're doing today under vented code. So anyway, so I appreciate you joining us today. You're talking about controlled ventilation, the ATMOX program, putting weep holes in retaining walls, to which the guys were doing today. But yeah, we really appreciate you joining us today for this educational video. And if you have any questions, give us a call at the number on the bottom of your screen, or you can visit us at the website if you wish and send us a message there. Again, this is Michael Masserang, and we will see you on the next one. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Thank you.